Hello and welcome to News9 Live. I'm Sumaira Khan, and in this show I'll bring to you the latest on Israel-Hamas war. The latest is a statement by former Israeli PM Ehud Barak. Former Israeli PM Ehud Barak criticizes Netanyahu's handling of Hamas. Barak blames the current Israeli PM's flawed strategy and divisiveness of Israeli society, leading to incoherent response to the Hamas attack. Barak says the final blame will be on Netanyahu when questions will be asked. Ehud Barak said that Netanyahu needs to be squarely blamed for the disaster that has befallen Israel. The former Israeli PM said that because the deaths were mainly of civilians and the state has forsaken its most basic commitment to its citizens to keep them alive, this was the worst type of negligence. Barak also said that after the war is over and when questions will be asked on the reason for the security failure, the blame will be on Netanyahu. Ehud Barak also said that it will be clear that above all, Netanyahu had a flawed strategy of keeping Hamas alive and kicking. So he could use Hamas to weaken the Palestinian Authority so that no one in the world could demand that we hold negotiations with the Palestinians. Barak has advised Israeli government not to rush with ground operations also. He has said that support from the world can erode if ground operations were hurried. He also said that Israel must abide by international laws in its operations and in its actions. It must be as legitimate as it can be, and it should be seen as legitimate by the world. Ehud Barak also added that the war aims against the Hamas should be achievable. He said that the war objective should be to end Hamas's military capabilities, as ideological defeat of Hamas is an unrealistic war aim. He also said that the offensive against Hamas should be in stages and the re-establishment of PLO's authority in Gaza is very important. So Ehud Barak has pointed out and he has said that the blame will squarely fall on Netanyahu's shoulders. He has also said that the civilians had the right to security, and this is the worst kind of negligence that the Israeli Authority could have shown towards its citizens. Ehud Barak also pointed out that Netanyahu is to be blamed because the policy of Netanyahu has been to keep Hamas alive and kicking so that there is a division within the Palestinian Authority, and it has not served for the Israeli cause at all. Ehud Barak has basically pointed out and called out Netanyahu and said that it is him who has to be blamed for the present situation. Ehud Barak also added that the war aim against the Hamas should be achievable because the ground offensive that Israel is right now talking about, Ehud Barak feels that that is an unachievable aim. He said that the war objective should be to end Hamas's military capabilities, as ideological defeat of Hamas is an unrealistic war aim. He also added that the offensive against Hamas should be in stages and it should not be just one big ground offensive as is being talked about by Israel and its supporters. He also said that the re-establishment of PLO's authority in Gaza is very important because with PLO, Israel can talk. Ehud Barak also pointed out that the world should see Israel's action as legitimate and they should be followed up with an aim which is achievable. According to Ehud Barak, the aim should be to dismantle Hamas's military capabilities. He also pointed out that if Israel has an aim of ideologically crushing Hamas, that is an unachievable aim and it cannot be achieved. War objective should be to end Hamas's military capabilities. Ideological defeat of Hamas is an unrealistic war aim and that should not be the aim of Israel right now. Also, the ground offensive or the big operation that is being talked about that Israel will conduct soon in Gaza Strip, Ehud Barak also pointed out that it should be in stages and it should not be one big operation. It should have achievable aims which can be achieved and it should be done according to international laws and should look legitimate to the world. Re-establishment of PLO in Gaza is also very important for the Israeli cause so that Hamas can be weakened. Ehud Barak also pointed out that the present situation is also because Benjamin Netanyahu has had a policy of keeping Hamas alive and kicking. In a fresh show of support to Israel by USA, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has ordered the USS Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group to move to the eastern Mediterranean. USS Gerald Ford led the first group to head to the region, and now the group led by the USS Eisenhower will also join them after Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's announcement. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower provides a wide range of flexible mission capabilities to include maritime security operations, expeditionary power projection, forward naval presence, crisis response, sea control, deterrence, counter-terrorism, information operations, security cooperation and counter-proliferation. These are the capabilities that Eisenhower has. This move is being seen as a deterrent to Iran and Hezbollah. The move by the US to move another carrier strike group, according to US, is a deterrent to Iran and Hezbollah. America wants that the war should not spill over from Israel and Palestine to other areas of the Middle East. The announcement came just after Austin completed his visit to Israel, where he met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Austin also said that this is being done as part of USA's effort to deter hostile actions against Israel or any efforts towards widening this war following the Hamas attack on Israel. First, one carrier was moved and now another carrier is being moved, though America has pointed out that this should work as a deterrent so that the war should not spill over from Israel and Palestine to other areas of Middle East. But Iran and other countries are looking at this move and also are pointing out that America should not increase its military presence in the area. Also, after this move, the type of ships that the carrier strike group has and the kind of capabilities that the strike group has is immense. USS Dwight D. Eisenhower provides a wide range of flexible mission capabilities. It includes maritime security operations, expeditionary power projection, forward naval presence, crisis response, sea control deterrence, counter-terrorism, information operations, security cooperation and counter-proliferation. This move, according to America, is a deterrent to Iran and Hezbollah. The announcement came just after Austin completed his visit to Israel, where he met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Austin said that this is being done as part of USA's effort to deter hostile actions against Israel or any efforts towards widening this war following the Hamas attack on Israel. The Eisenhower Strike Group includes the guided missile cruiser USS Philippine Sea, guided missile destroyers USS Gravely, the USS Mason and a carrier Air Wing 3 that has 9 aircraft squadrons. This is the capability of the aircraft carrier. It increases to US force posture signal the United States' commitment to Israel's security and resolve to deter any state or non-state actor seeking to escalate this war. This is America's commitment to protect Israel against any escalation of this war which spills over from Israel into other countries. The nuclear-powered Eisenhower is one of the US Navy's 10 Nimitz-class carriers, while the Ford is the first of its class. But let's talk about what is a carrier strike group. A carrier strike group, or CSG for short, is a type of USA battle group. It is a principal element of US military. It holds enough firepower to rival air forces of entire nations. A US carrier strike group, not to be confused with the United Kingdom's battle group of the same name, typically operates with roughly 7,500 personnel on board. USA believes a carrier strike group's mission is to achieve and sustain air, sea and undersea control. It responds to crisis and protects United States interests anywhere, anytime. The Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group will join the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, which had arrived earlier. The Ford CSG includes the USS Normandy. It is operated with roughly 7,500 personnel on board. it aims to achieve air, sea and undersea control anywhere. The firepower that a USS carrier strike group controls can be rivaled by the air and sea power of any nation put together. The Ford CSG includes the USS Normandy, USS Thomas Hudner, USS Ramage, USS Carney and USS Roosevelt. Earlier in the week, the US Air Force announced deployment to the region of squadrons of F-15, F-16 and A-10 fighter aircraft as well. So America has been increasing its presence in the Middle East by sending first carrier strike group and then the second carrier strike group, and also increasing its air power by increasing the deployment to the region of squadrons of F-15, F-16 and A-10 fighter aircraft as well. But this increase by America, though explained by America as to work as a deterrent if the war were to spill out from Israel and Palestine, and it should act as a deterrent, the presence that America has in the region to provide Israel with any kind of support when needed. But this move is also seen by some countries in the Middle East as a provocation. Known for being powerful, mobile, flexible, independent and sustainable, a carrier strike group typically contains 5 different types of ship: nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, replenishment ship, cruiser, destroyers and submarine. Destroyer vessel is also a part of it, and submarine. A CSG would also typically contain the following types of aircraft: strike fighters, growlers, Hawkeyes, Greyhounds and helicopters. US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also rushed to Tel Aviv, but this is the kind of air support and different kind of military support that has been increased by America in this region. US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, speaking in Tel Aviv, Israel on Sunday, said that the chamber would push through a military aid package to help Israel in its war against the militant Islamist group Hamas.
On a trip to Tel Aviv with other U.S. lawmakers, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the chamber would push through a military aid package ASAP to help Israel in its war against the militant Islamist group Hamas.
We say to Israel, America will stand with its ally Israel. So we will work with the Israeli government and the Biden administration to assemble the most generous package possible. Now, people will ask, what about the House?
Schumer on Sunday said among Israel's requests are additional interceptors for its Iron Dome missile defense system, which has been operating nonstop, shooting down Hamas rockets from Gaza, and precision munitions.
The needs, of course, are quickly evolving over time.
He also said he urged Israeli leaders to assist with efficient humanitarian assistance while minimizing civilian casualties in Gaza.
The Biden administration has underscored that democracies like ours are stronger and more secure when we uphold the rule of law. We echoed that to the Prime Minister of Israel and to every Israeli official we met. We told them that as well as military assistance, intelligence assistance, diplomatic assistance, we wanted humanitarian assistance. And I said to them, find the fastest, safest, and most efficient way to do so. We also told them it was really important and it's difficult. We know it's difficult, but still we have to minimize civilian casualties.
Also on Sunday, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the Biden administration hopes to push a new weapons package for Israel and Ukraine through Congress that will be significantly higher than $2 billion. But how any bill moves through Congress, currently without a speaker in the U.S. House of Representatives, is unclear.
And now let's have a look at what's happening on the ground in Gaza. Explosions and thick black smoke filled the skies in Gaza, visible from the Israeli side of the border. This comes as Israel prepares for a ground assault in response to unprecedented attacks by Hamas militants. The Israeli army stated that hundreds of thousands of people have already moved south to escape the heavy bombardment, which is the most intense the enclave has ever witnessed. The conflict has taken a heavy toll, with 1,300 people killed in Israel, including 279 soldiers and over 2,670 people killed in Gaza, a significant number of them being children, with nearly 10,000 wounded. So these are the scenes that can be seen from the Israeli side. Smoke can be seen in the skies as different areas in Gaza are being bombarded by Israel. Israel is determined to eliminate Hamas and has been hitting at different targets within the Gaza Strip. But the biggest casualty have been children. The conflict has taken a heavy toll, with around 1,300 people being killed in Israel, including 279 soldiers, and over 2,670 people have so far been killed in Gaza, a significant number of them being children. Nearly 10,000 of them are wounded in Gaza as of now, and thousands are struggling to evacuate northern Gaza and trying to move towards the south. Israel is determined to eliminate Hamas and has been bombarding different targets in different places in Gaza Strip, which according to Israel are the places or the centers that have been helping Hamas or are Hamas's headquarters. Israel has been preparing for a ground assault. Explosions and thick black smoke has filled the skies in Gaza, visible from the Israeli side of the border. This comes as Israel prepares for a final ground assault in response to unprecedented attacks by Hamas militants. The Israeli army has stated so far that hundreds and thousands of people have already moved south, because there was an ultimatum that was issued by the Israeli government that people who are living in the northern Gaza should move out from there. Though the timeline that was provided by Israel has expired, but yet people are trying to move from northern Gaza to the south. Thousands of people have already moved, according to Israel, and heavy bombardment continues. Residents in Gaza fear more destruction as Israel prepares for a ground assault. In Gaza, hospitals are running out of medicine and fuel, which is making it tough for the people there to receive the necessary medical care. At the same time, Israel is hitting back at Hamas with the most intense airstrikes they've ever unleashed. This all started when Hamas launched a major attack on October 7, and Israel responded with overwhelming force. The result has been significant damage and a high number of casualties in Gaza, with over 2,300 people losing their lives. Israel initially told Palestinians to leave, but Hamas is cautioning against using the unsafe roads.
Mohammed al-Laham sits next to her 4-year-old granddaughter Fuller in a hospital in Gaza. She said an Israeli airstrike hit the family home, killing 14 people, including Fuller's parents, siblings, and members of her extended family.
May God heal her and heal all the injuries of all Muslims. She is not talking or anything, as you can see. She is sleeping in bed and taking medicine. They've put a cast on her hand and her leg has platinum. I hope she will get better, and God be with her.
This hospital, like others, is operating on low supplies of medicine and fuel. Doctors at the Kamal Edwan Hospital in the north of Gaza were ordered to evacuate, but they refused to leave dozens of newborn infants who are receiving life-saving care. Dr. Hussam Abu Safia says doing so would mean handing them a death sentence. If you want to kill us while we continue working here, he says. Israel was preparing on Sunday for a ground assault on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Palestinians who've lost numerous family members in airstrikes were bracing for more destruction if Israel hits back on an unprecedented scale. Israel has already unleashed the heaviest airstrikes ever on Gaza. All this is in retaliation for the biggest attack on civilians in the country's history by the Palestinian militant group Hamas on October 7th. Israel has vowed to annihilate the militant group after some 1,300 people were killed in the unexpected onslaught. Israel responded with the most intense bombardment Gaza has ever seen, putting the small enclave, home to 2.3 million Palestinians, under siege. Gaza authorities said more than 2,300 people had been killed, a quarter of them children, and nearly 10,000 wounded. Israel has told Palestinians to leave their homes and move south. Hamas has urged people not to leave, saying roads out are unsafe. Some who have fled say taking the road to southern Gaza has become much more difficult as Israel continues to bomb around it. The Israeli military was not immediately available for comment. Meanwhile, residents of the southern Israeli town of Sderot on Sunday boarded buses to evacuate to other areas of the country as rocket barrages from the Hamas-run Gaza Strip continued.
Flares lit up the dark Gaza city skyline as people feared an imminent Israeli offensive in the densely populated Palestinian territory. Diplomatic efforts are underway to reopen a Rafah border crossing into Gaza, aimed at delivering aid to the Hamas-controlled region, which has endured intense Israeli bombing since the deadly events on October 7. Israel is calling on Gazans to move south, and many have already left in the overcrowded enclave of over 2 million people. In contrast, Hamas is advising people to disregard Israel's evacuation message. Flares are seen in the sky, in the Gaza city skyline, nearly every day since October 7. And there is an imminent threat that Israeli ground offensive will start soon. Though this whole area of Gaza is densely populated and Palestinian territory is being bombarded by Israel, but diplomatic efforts are underway to reopen a Rafah border crossing into Gaza, which is aimed at delivering aid to the Hamas-controlled region. The aid is right now not reaching this region, which is controlled by Hamas. This area has endured intense Israeli bombing since the deadly events on October 7. Israel has constantly been bombing this area. Israel is calling on Gazans to move to south, and many have already left in the overcrowded enclave. Nearly 2 million people live in this area. It is the most densely populated area in the world anywhere at present. In contrast, Hamas is advising people to disregard Israel's evacuation message, though Israel has always been pointing out that Hamas does not want the common people to leave so that they can be used as shields. But also, since the number of people living in this area is so huge, nearly 2 million people live in this area. It's an overcrowded and overpopulated area. It is difficult for people to move from north to south. In the latest updates, Israel is permitting Gazans to move to south as it readies for a ground assault on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stressed unity amid escalating tensions. Over 1,300 people were killed in Hamas attacks, prompting Israel's intense bombardment and displacing 1 million Gazans. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is in the region, striving to free 126 hostages held by Hamas and prevent conflict escalation. President Joe Biden urgently advocates for Palestinian humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, at Israel's northern border, Hezbollah's attack escalated tensions. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh met Iran's foreign minister, reinforcing their goals: cooperation. Iran supports Hamas but denies direct involvement.
The Israeli military said on Sunday it would continue to allow Gazans to evacuate south. Its troops are getting ready for a ground assault on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened Israel's expanded emergency cabinet for the first time on Sunday, saying the national unity on display sent a message at home and abroad. Israel has vowed to annihilate the militant group Hamas after its fighters rampaged through Israeli towns, shooting men, women and children and seizing hostages. Some 1,300 were killed in the onslaught in the worst attack on civilians in the country's history. Israel responded with the most intense bombardment into Gaza it has ever seen. Gaza authorities said more than 2,300 people had been killed, a quarter of them children. 1 million people had reportedly left their homes. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the region seeking to secure the release of 126 hostages Israel says were taken by Hamas back into Gaza. He said earlier in the week the U.S. will continue to help prevent the war from spreading.
Mr. Secretary, how did your meeting go?
Very productive.
Blinken said he had a very productive meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh on Sunday. The White House said President Joe Biden stressed the urgent need to get humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians in calls on Saturday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. The violence in Gaza has been accompanied by the deadliest clashes at Israel's northern border with Lebanon since 2006. Hezbollah fighters, supported by Iran, launched a missile at an Israeli border village on Sunday, killing at least one person and wounding 3 others. The Israeli military said it was striking in Lebanon in retaliation. On Saturday, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh met with Iran's foreign minister in Qatar. They agreed to continue cooperation to achieve the group's goals, Hamas said in a statement. Iran, which backs Hamas, has lauded the Hamas attack on Israel, but has denied any involvement.
As the diplomatic efforts are underway, the Israeli Defense Forces are conducting ground operations. Special forces are on the ground, and so is TV9 correspondent. Sumit has brought this ground report from this border.
और देखिए, रिपोर्ट करते हुए कई बार आपको कुछ चुनौतियों का भी सामना करना पड़ता है। देखिए, अगर आप देखें, ये लाइव ग्रेनेड है। यहाँ पर जब हम रिपोर्ट कर रहे थे उसी समय ये लाइव ग्रेनेड हमको यहाँ मिला, जिसको स्पेशल फोर्सेस की टीम ने देख लिया है। अब इसको यहाँ से हटाया जाएगा, हमको भी यहाँ से दूर जाने की ज़्यादा बोला गया है। और अब देखिए, रिपोर्टिंग के दौरान इस तरीके से लाइव बॉम्ब्स हमको मिल रहे हैं उन इलाकों से जहाँ पर इस समय स्पेशल फोर्सेस के ऑपरेशन चल रहे हैं। ये वो इलाके हैं जहाँ से स्पेशल फोर्सेस ऑपरेट कर रही है। मोटे तौर पर जिस दिन से ये वॉर शुरू हुई है उसके हर दिन 24 घंटे में स्ट्रैटेजीज बदलती रही हैं, और ये स्ट्रैटेजीज इसलिए बदल रही हैं ताकि स्पेशल फोर्सेस अपना काम आसानी से कर सके, यानी उन इलाकों में जाएं गाज़ा के जहां पर हमास ने अपने बेस बना रखे हैं। रेजिडेंशियल एरियाज़ में, उन्हीं रेजिडेंशियल एरियाज़ में घुसने की कोशिश की जा रही है। और अगर आप ये इलाके देख रहे हो, अब इनको पूरी तरीके से सिक्योर किया गया है। और अभी ये लाइव बॉम्ब है जिसको मैं आपको दिखा रहा था कि ये ग्रेनेड है जो एक हमास के आतंकी के चेस्ट पे या फिर उसकी वेस्ट पे लगा हुआ था, जो यहाँ रह गया। हमारी रिपोर्टिंग के दौरान हमने देखा और उसके बाद अब इसको हटाने की कोशिश चल रही है। यानी आप मानिए कि अभी भी इस इलाके में क्या दुविधा है, क्या परेशानी है फोर्सेस के लिए भी इजराइल की, वो ये कि इन इलाकों से आपको हटाना या फिर निकाल पाना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। और देखिए, हमको दूर जाने के लिए कह दिया गया है।
In the ongoing military operations near Gaza, Israel has deployed tanks to the border in preparation for a potential ground offensive. Their primary objective is to target Hamas and its infrastructure in response to previous deadly attacks. On Sunday, Israeli aircraft carried out strikes on approximately 250 military targets, resulting in the reported death of the Hamas Southern District commander. Israeli military chief Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi addressed troops stationed near the Gaza border, emphasizing the mission to eradicate Hamas with the focus on every place, every commander, every operator. Moreover, Gaza has been facing shortages of fuel, food and water due to Israel's blockade. However, an agreement between Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and US President Joe Biden has been reached to restore the water supply to parts of southern Gaza. But as these diplomatic efforts are underway, so that the Gazans that are living in southern Gaza should at least get the basic aid of water, food, fuel, as the people living in Gaza are facing shortages of fuel, food and water. Israel is also preparing for the ground offensive. Israeli military chief Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi has addressed troops stationed near the Gaza border, and they're preparing for a ground assault. My colleague Manish Jha, who's in Israel, gets us the latest from the war-torn nation. Take a look.
इस वक्त TV9 के कैमरे पर आप देखिए कि मार्क 4 टैंक में जो टैंक के सेल को टैंकिस्ट प्लेस कर रहे हैं उसको आप देखिए कि कितना बड़ा सेल है। तो आप सोचिए कि एक तरफ से जहां हमास के रॉकेट के हमले हो रहे हैं वहीं दूसरी तरफ जो मार्क 4 टैंक के सेल से उसका जवाब दिया जाएगा और बीच बीच में जो धमाके की आवाज़ यहाँ पर बॉर्डर पर सुनाई देती है, फ्रंट लाइन पर सुनाई देती है, वहीं ठीक दूसरी तरफ देखिए अमित, दूसरी तरफ आप दिखाइए बहुत सारे जो टैंकमैन हैं वो एक एक सेल को लेकर जा रहे हैं और उसको अपने अपने टैंकों में। तो देखिए कभी भी शुरू हो सकता है ये ऑपरेशन। कुछ घंटे के बाद हमास पर को नेस्तनाबूद करने के लिए ये ऑपरेशन जो होगा उसके लिए देखिए अभी किस तरीके से इस टैंक में जो टैंकिस्ट हैं वो सेल को प्लेस कर रहे हैं ताकि एक साथ अटैक किया जा सकता है। आज की रात भारी पड़ सकती है हमास पर, आज की रात गाजा पट्टी पर भारी होगी। उसका सबसे बड़ा सबूत यही है कि सोल्जर अपने हिसाब से तैयारी करके उन्होंने रख लिया है, बस एक सिग्नल का इंतजार है। जैसे ही वो सिग्नल मिलेगा और ये कूच कर पड़ेंगे गाजा पट्टी में दुनिया के सबसे खतरनाक ऑपरेशन को अंजाम देने के लिए, जिसके बाद जैसा कि IDF का कहना है कि फिर 100 साल तक कोई भी इजराइल की सरजमी पर आक्रमण करने का हिम्मत नहीं जुटा पाएगा। यहाँ पर हम आपको उन सोल्जर्स को भी दिखाएंगे, उनसे बात भी करेंगे और उनसे जानने की कोशिश करेंगे कि ग्राउंड ऑपरेशन करने से पहले वो क्या सोच रहे हैं। तो चलिए सबसे पहले मुलाकात करते हैं, बात करते हैं इसमें। हाय, दिस इज मनीष, आई एम फ्रॉम इंडिया।
हाय, Gabriel.
So Gabriel, you are here and any moment you can go for war. So before coming here, what you were doing?
Before coming here, I was working in an accountant's office, and I was doing some accounting.
So basically, you are an accountant, and then when your country called you, then you are here.
Yes, that's very correct.
Hi sir, what's your good name?
Micha.
Micha. And before coming here, what you were doing?
I'm a school teacher. I teach.
School teacher?
Yes, I teach civic studies and mathematics to the 10th grade.
And now you are having weapon.
I'm having a weapon because that's what my country needs. I hear the call and I have to come here. Not something that I really want to do, but something that I have to do.
You know, I was in Russia last year. I saw lots of Russian citizens were leaving the country. But when I was coming to Israel, I saw lots of Israeli persons were coming back to to Israel. So do you think that this is the specialty of all Israelis? Whenever your country needs you, you are here?
Yes, as we see by the statistics, reserve soldiers are being 150% of reserve soldiers arrived. For myself, I didn't even receive a formal invitation to come here. When I saw the situation on Saturday, I took my uniform, took my bag, packed it, and although we don't have public transportation on Saturday, I asked my father to take me right down here.
Oh my God! So normally, how much time you get when you call for the duty?
It really depends. It varies. We were called up straight away. I was called up straight away. But it depends on people and it depends on the situation.
So both of you have a first experience to come at the ground zero, like Operation Zone?
Again, I'm sorry?
My question is that both of you have a first experience to do duty at Operation Zone?
Well, I didn't take any part on any formal operation. We served in the regular forces, you know, all the only the Batash.
Daily operational duty.
Daily operational defense missions. Yeah, that's what we did.
My question is, before coming to war zone, what was your job? Like what you were doing?
My job is to prepare now for the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to do. I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But we are prepared, like you see,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all. Israel going to win this war, okay? All the terror going to...
Okay, and you were saying me that you have some connection with India. So
Yeah.
please tell us, what is your connection with India?
What? I didn't
The
understand.
India link, what is your connection with India?
My father born in India.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember which city,
Uh-huh.
but he's born in India, and you know, I have a big connection to India.
Oh, great. So have you visited India?
Not because I'm here, but after I'm
afterward you will visit India.
Yeah, I will visit, and maybe we see on a cup of coffee
Oh,
one day.
great. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just asking, so when you got information that you have to come here, so what was your reaction, your family's reaction?
So we don't have to come here because we are instructors, we are not combat soldiers. But when everything started, of course we wanted to come and help. And our families are worried, I think everyone is worried. But we know we have to do this, we have to help. So we are here.
हम इस समय स्पेशल फोर्सेस के साथ गाजा पट्टी के अंदर जा रहे हैं और अगर आप देख रहे हो कि लगातार हमारे साथ साथ टैंक्स की मूवमेंट भी हो रही है। जी हाँ, लगातार इन इलाकों के अंदर टैंक्स की मूवमेंट की जा रही है और ये वो इलाके हैं जहाँ पे ना सिर्फ टैंक बल्कि बख्तरबंद गाड़ियाँ भी अंदर जा रही हैं। ये वो इलाका है जिसे आप वॉर जोन कहते हैं और देखिए लगातार इसी वॉर जोन के अंदर से TV9 भारतवर्ष अब रिपोर्ट कर रहा है और हम आपको बता रहे हैं कि हम गाजा के इलाकों के अंदर जा रहे हैं और ये वो इलाके हैं जो बहुत ज़्यादा संवेदनशील और स्पेशल फोर्सेज के कमांड एंड कंट्रोल में है। और अब से थोड़ी देर पहले यहाँ पर कह सकते हैं कि स्पेशल फोर्सेस एंटर कर गई थी, वो लगातार अपने मोर्चे संभाली और हम उनके साथ अंदर गए हैं। और देखिए TV9 भारतवर्ष आपको लगातार उन इलाकों से रिपोर्ट करके दिखा रहा है जहाँ पर स्पेशल फोर्सेस की टीम मौजूद हैं और ये वो सारे टैंक्स, आर्टिलरी और BMP आप देख पा रहे होंगे जो लगातार गाजा पट्टी के अंदर हैं। और इस समय यहाँ पर जो स्पेशल फोर्सेस की मूवमेंट चल रही है ये उसको लगातार उसके लिए काम कर रहे हैं। थोड़ी देर पहले स्पेशल फोर्सेस की टीम को दोबारा से आदेश दिया था कि आप टैंक्स की मूवमेंट को और बढ़ा दिया जाए, लगातार उनको उतना तेज़ कर दिया जाए कि सभी जो टैंक्स हैं वो अंदर घुस जाएँ। करीब हज़ारों की संख्या में टैंक जो हैं वो इन इलाकों में घुस गए हैं और मैं और मेरे कैमरा पर्सन लगातार आपको इसी टैंक्स की मूवमेंट दिखा रहे हैं। देखिए एक बार फिर मैं आपको दिखाता हूं कि कैसे लगातार ये जो टैंक्स है ये लगातार अंदर घुस रहे हैं। हालांकि हम भी इनके साथ गाड़ी के अंदर हैं और हम इनके साथ अंदर मूव कर रहे हैं और स्पेशल फोर्सेस की टीम इस समय कैसे काम कर रही है।
So ground forces are ready and waiting for the final instruction to go in for the ground assault. Also some action is being seen on the Gaza border, but Israeli military said it had conducted strikes in Lebanon in retaliation to Hezbollah's attacks on Israeli army posts and a northern border village. Earlier, UN peacekeepers warned border clashes were escalating. The video distributed by Israeli army shows attacks on Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military said it had conducted strikes in Lebanon in retaliation and it declared a zone within 4 kilometers of the Lebanese border off limits to public access. This has been declared by the Israeli authority, Israeli military, because it is conducting operations on this border. Israeli military has said that it had conducted strikes in Lebanon in retaliation and it has declared a zone within 4 kilometers, that is 2 miles of the Lebanese border, off limits for public access. There has been a lot of action that has been happening on this side of the border in Israel. Israeli military said it had conducted strikes in Lebanon in retaliation to Hezbollah's attacks on Israeli army posts and a northern border village. Earlier, UN peacekeepers also warned that border clashes were escalating. This is the video that has been distributed by Israeli army and it shows attacks on Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, Israeli actress Rona Lee Shimon, famous for her role in the TV series Fawda, expressed gratitude to everyone standing by her country during the recent Hamas terrorist attack. Listen in.
I think, first of all, me and everyone I know in Israel, every civilian, every citizen of Israel is now supporting the cause of, first of all, bringing the hostages back. We are doing everything in our power to bring them back. What happened 8 days ago is one of the most horrific atrocities ever made in history of my people. This is worrisome on so many levels, but what we're doing right now is what is the most important thing that you can do, and what we must do right now is bring the hostages back. We are supporting the army, we're taking care of our army. We are in the middle of war. It's gonna be even more bad for a lot of human lives, but we are going to prevail. We are getting ready, and first thing that we're doing is bringing our hostages back. I don't, I really hope so. I think that this is what every nation on planet Earth should intervene and do everything in their power to bring our people back. Hamas took people from other 36 countries around the globe. They have people, not just Israelis, not just Jewish people. They're holding people from 36 countries from around the world. The global nations around the world should unite to do everything in their power to bring the hostages home. What is my appeal? I'm requesting for everything I have. I'm requesting for the sake of humanity. I think we are now, you know, in a very pivotal point in history. This is going to be very simple at the end of the day. This is good against evil. And history will tell whoever was on the good side and whoever wasn't. Whoever was silent and whoever did everything in their power to help bring the people home. I feel grateful to have an ally, a beautiful ally like India. India is one of my favorite places on earth. I love its people. I can really understand why the first thing that you guys did was to condemn the horrible action of October 7th in Israel. I would expect nothing less, but I want to say with the utmost gratefulness in my heart, I think it's the best thing that you guys can do for us, is condemn this horrible terror and stand by our side. You know what I think? I think if you look at religion, I think religion is a beautiful thing if you make it beautiful. I think it's a human choice to use religion for the best way. I think whoever lost sight of their human spark inside of them can use religion in a very, very bad way. But I think what was shown to us on October 7th, 2023, is that Hamas is ISIS and they will not stop.
Meanwhile, residents of Khan Yunis searched through the rubble of a building destroyed by an Israeli airstrike on Saturday, as hope diminishes to find survivors.
It was an extremely strong explosion. We were surprised as we were asleep, my children, wife and I. When we woke up, we saw that my home and my brother's house were damaged, while the neighbours' houses had collapsed. We rushed to where the strike hit and were surprised to see that a 3-story building had collapsed and there were martyrs under the rubble. We called the medics and bulldozers to remove the rubble. Martyrs are stuck under the rubble, and until now, neither us, nor the medics, nor the civil defence are able to take them out.
So these are the buildings that have been bombed by Israel, and people are going through the rubble to find survivors, though the hope has diminished. Residents of Sderot evacuated under rocket fire from Gaza. Reports say that nearly 2/3 of Sderot's population have left the town. Few residents are choosing to remain in the town, with many opting to seek shelter elsewhere. Sderot was in the line of Hamas rocket fire. 2/3 of Sderot residents have left the town. This was one of the towns of Israel that was attacked by Hamas. Residents of Sderot have been evacuated because there has been a constant rocket fire from Gaza. Reports say that nearly 2/3 of Sderot's population has left the town. Few residents are choosing to remain though in the town, with many opting to seek shelter elsewhere. This was one of the towns that was in the line of Hamas rocket fire. Thank you for watching News 9 Live, and keep watching for more updates and news stories. News9.